Oh, my poor truck on these dang Michigan roads. It's getting filthy. Good morning. Michigan dirt roads. Oh, they're no good. I didn't want to drive down it today, but I'm on the road selling some seed, attempting to sell some seed. Well, I did sell some this morning. Got another guy thinking about some stuff, so we're having a decent day. I'm actually heading back to the farm right now. I've got to meet some people down at my house. They're working on my septic system, which is awesome. It's good. It's a good thing to have working on. So anyway, I'll show you a little bit of what we got going on down there, and we're going to talk about harvesting stuff today. Look at this. Beans. Not our beans. Somebody's got beans. There's a lot of crops out here yet. A lot of crops in the field. So I've got a lot of comments on some of the past videos about, you know, these guys did this, or why don't you try that, or why don't you do this? And so we're going to talk through some of that stuff today. And this one may be a little bit different. More of me talking than me doing stuff, but technical. You'll appreciate it, right? I don't know. Here's my board that I've been testing on. It loses its shine because it's a satin finish. It's not a gloss, but it still looks pretty nice. The stains definitely did make a difference. I still kind of like this one with that darker stuff in it. But I have a feeling we'll go with unstained. But it's blotchy, so I'm gonna see if I can put some, got some sealer stuff to put on before we put the finish on. Maybe that'll help, because this one looks the best right now from that standpoint. But anyway, I'm working on that. Dad's starting to work with the backhoe to put a little stone in where our building is gonna go here, making just a little driveway through where the doorway is gonna be. And the idea is to fill in the center part there where we're done digging, just to make it nicer area to work, maybe park some stuff, get it started settling. Yep. Dad talked to our builder. They're coming next week to pour concrete. Next week does not seem like a good week to pour concrete, but whatever. Let them do it. It's supposed to snow quite a bit in the middle of the week. Well, clearly the neighbors don't think that it is too wet today. But look at their equipment. There's that X9 combine. Remember that X9 combine that we were looking at this summer the one day? There it is. Oh my goodness. Is that acceptable? Ruts from one end of the field to the other, leaving trails of mud on the road. Look at it. I'm not gonna do that to our fields. No way, no how. That last clip I took was a half an hour ago. Let's see how far they've made it. They were just opening up this other field here. Wow, that tractor's dirty. Yeah, it's muddy. I don't want to do that. Oh, look at what they're doing to the road ditch. Look at that. Look at that quad track. That's a 2,000 bushel grain cart, by the way. Impressive. X9 Deere, X9 1100 with a 18-row, 20-inch corn head. But it's, oh, they're tearing stuff up. Like, I get that there's an element of we just have to get it done. It's now December 1st and we still have crops in the field, and you do whatever you have to do to just go and get them. But boy, are they causing irreparable damage. Stuff that's going to take years to fix. The field down the road that I came from is even worse, that you guys won't be able to see, but it's down there, and it's just, I don't know that it's worth it right now. Well, I was more successful in the morning selling seed than the afternoon. Just didn't find everybody around, really. But it's about 3 o'clock, I'm back here, so we're gonna have a little discussion about harvesting stuff, because I showed you those pictures, or those videos of what our neighbors are doing. I'm gonna tell you why we aren't doing that. Dad's getting some boards out of the mow, his stockpile up there. We'll go check that out in a little bit. So we are sitting here on the 1st of December with 150-ish acres of corn to harvest. and about 70 acres of double crop beans. Now, we started harvest on the 12th of September. At that time, I thought, oh, we'll be done by the end of October. Things are going great. Little did I know it was going to start raining and not stop, and we were going to have one of the wettest falls we've ever had. Happens. So that's why we're in the position that we're in. Now, that said, we have different fields have different abilities for us to get across them. They're going to dry out differently. They're going to be farmable at different times, let's say. So ground that we own is generally well tiled. The drainage tile takes the excess water off the field so that the ground firms up and it's not as wet, it's not as soft. We won't risk getting stuck. We don't rut the fields up and cause all kinds of issues from being on it when it's too wet. Those fields are done. Additionally, what tillage practices we did a year ago can make a difference as to how easily we can get across those fields. There's lots of factors that go into deciding where and when we can harvest and what fields we go to, where we can park trucks and whether we can get them in the field or if we have to park them on the road or how all that works all plays into it. So the two cornfields that we have left are left because one, they were some of the last planted stuff, and one in particular is probably in the top 2 or 3 wettest farms that we have. And the other one that we're kind of partially through here, well, it's close. We left it to the end. It's got a variety on it that stands really well, so I wasn't worried about the corn going down. And, I mean, it is wet, but we don't have a great spot to get trucks out for the rest of the field. There's 128 acres there. We've got 50 or 60, 50, yeah, something like that of it done. But the rest of it, we just nowhere to park trucks for the most part. So that's why what we have left is left. But why aren't we out there getting it? Clearly our neighbors are running a couple of them. Most are not, but there are a couple of guys that are. Could we get the combine across the field? Yeah, probably. Certain areas are going to be worse than others, but for the most part, we would get across it with the combine, I think. The question is, how much damage are you going to do? And I know that a lot of you guys are watching some of the other YouTube farmers. You see what the guys in Minnesota are doing, whether that's Zach or Larson's or Randy, Master Pipe Layer. Those guys are in this stuff, and I don't understand it myself, but it seems like they have a get the crops out at all cost mentality, and we don't have that here. If I was doing to our soil what they did to theirs, you would be able to see it in 3 years from now, or in 2 years from now, or in 4 years from now, whenever there's corn there again, and the compaction and the just destroyed soil structure and it will ruin that ground. And so we don't want to do that. We're going to try and avoid that. And so I would rather wait for a freeze up than wreck my ground for future years. Does that make sense? Now, I'm not saying that our neighbors don't care about their soil, because, I mean, they should, they better, but they also farm a lot more ground than we do, and when you got a lot of acres, you got to get the crops out. I'm sitting here at 150. It's 2 good days. If we could get 2 cold days, I'd be done. If I had 3 weeks worth of work left to do, I'd be a whole lot more nervous and sitting thinking things a lot differently right now. So could we physically get all the crops out right now? We could get some of it. I don't know if we could get all of it. Part of our problem is we don't have a big enough tractor to pull our grain cart, and where we have long rows and we can't make rounds with the combine, we've got to run the grain cart and unload on the go. Our grain cart tractor does not have enough traction to keep the cart moving, and it will get stuck. So then you're thinking about things like, well, do we harvest 4 rows at a time so we can make rounds with the combine and not take as much, and then just from the truck from the combine right into the truck and stuff. And we could do those things. We're not quite to that point yet. If we had a bigger tractor like our 9510R that we could put on the grain cart, that would help. We would be able to drag it through the fields a lot better. It's still hard on the ground. It's still hard on the equipment, but it would have more tires and flotation and traction and be able to work better. The problem is our big tractor does not have a PTO. You have to have a PTO to unload the grain cart, turn the augers and stuff, and that tractor does not. So either go find one, which is not easy to do, or you wait. And we're choosing to wait. So for us here, getting harvest done as quickly as possible is not the top priority. It is important. We do want to get the corn out of the fields especially, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of wrecking the ground or the equipment. And so doing what those guys in Minnesota did, while it works where they are at, it won't work long term for us. And so we've just kind of made that decision that we're not going to do that. We don't have to do that, so we're not going to. And so what our options are, and keep in mind this may change. We get 2 weeks from now and we may say, all right, let's go get it. I don't know. But basically we're left waiting for things to dry out, which doesn't happen in December when it's cold and cloudy and we just don't get drying days, or for it to freeze up. And so like we've done the last couple of times we've harvested is we go out at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning when it's cold, the ground's frozen. If it gets below 25 degrees at night, we get a nice crust on top of the ground, and we should be able to get across it a little bit better. Now keep in mind our equipment is heavy. It's going to break through that crust. Doesn't take anything to break through it, but at least it gives it a little bit of something solid to grip to and to drive through. And so the next time that happens, we're going to try again. The forecast right now does not look real promising. Next Tuesday or Wednesday it's supposed to get cold again, but they're coupling it with 4 or 5 inches of snow, and if we have snow on the corn we can't harvest it either, so that doesn't work. So we will get stuff done. It's just taking longer and it's super frustrating. What I'm learning out of this is that when you can go early, even if it's early, do it. Oh geez, for a little just go. Back in September we were doing stuff and we were making progress and getting some done, but we were in a very laid back, nonchalant attitude of like, it's still really early. We got time. We don't have to be in a hurry. We don't, no big deal here. Had we pushed it a little bit harder in September, I might be done. I might have had 150 acres done by now. So that's a little bit frustrating for me. The other thing that we've got to do yet is some tillage, and when we do get that freeze up, we should be able to do some more tillage. The deep tillage is going to be questionable because if it freezes up enough that we can get across the ground, it's still going to be super gooey underneath and not frozen. If it freezes up so that that's hard, then the ground's too hard, you can't get the ripper in the ground. What we should be able to do though is some disking, or that vertical tillage where we can manage the residue a little bit. You get a nice crust on the ground, and we should be able to get across it without getting into the goo underneath. So at least that's the idea. Frustrating. Yes, it's frustrating. So I'm sure that you guys will have all kinds of comments and stuff on this, but that's the approach that we're taking. We're going to wait for it to improve and freeze up or firm up or something so that we can do it a little bit easier. The one field that we have left to do that we have not been to, we do have good places to park trucks on the road. It's a side dirt road that we can dump into off the cart. The problem is that there's a lot of low pockets and stuff that collect water and pond. I remember farming that field one time when I was in high school. I'll probably tell this story again when we're down there, but hold on. So anyway, I remember one time back in high school, this field that we've got left to do that we haven't been in at all yet. It was the last field of corn that we had to shell. It was late because I was in basketball practice, and I remember going to the field after I got out of basketball practice and jumping in our grain cart tractor, which we didn't own a grain cart at the time. We had borrowed one from a neighbor, and it was an old John Deere cart with a tandem, skinny or small tires, like a implement tire, tandem axle, 500 or 600 bushel grain cart, whatever it was. And we were going through the one low hole down into the bottom, and I remember Dad saying that he looked down at the ground and all of a sudden everything was smooth. And we had had a little bit of a dusting of snow, and the snow was just perfectly smooth on the ground. And then he realized that the ground wasn't smooth, that it was ice, and that we were literally in water, and it had frozen, and the snow was smooth and stuff. And then I remember him unloading into the grain cart as we're going, and then as you get to the bottom of that, or the other side of it, and you're climbing back up towards the road, there's a big hill. And we were going up this hill, and all of a sudden I started slowing down, and I got the grain cart stuck doing it there. So that's the kind of field that we've got left, and I don't really want to do that again. And granted, we have different equipment than we did then. We have a grain cart on tracks, so that'll help. And we have a bigger tractor, but not a big enough tractor on it. And it's very frustrating. I'm tired of fighting the mud. I want to be done with harvest. You have no idea how bad I want to be done with harvest. But we're going to wait for halfway decent conditions or until we decide we can't wait any longer. And I don't know when that's going to be just right now. Looking at the forecast, it does not look promising. So it is what it is. We'll get it. It'll be fine. I wish we could get some stuff done so that I can start cleaning up some equipment and doing some stuff in the shop in the meantime. But there's just not a whole lot I can do right now. That air seeder is on the agenda. That's probably tomorrow's project, to clean an air seeder. So anyway, I'm going to go help Dad get some boards around, and we're getting stuff ready to work on this stair project, making some skirt boards and risers now. Basically, the point of that conversation was to tell you that just because somebody else is doing it one way and they can get it done and go through the mud and stuff doesn't mean that that's right for us and for everybody else. Everybody farms their own ways and does it how they think is best for them and their operation, and I'm not telling them they're wrong. Don't tell me that I'm wrong. Make sense? Red oak, I believe. Ooh, that one's got quite a cup to it. They need plain down, rough cut, but we're going to use those for risers and skirt boards. They're going to get painted white, so it doesn't matter that it's not walnut. So Dad's working downstairs on them boards. I thought we'd come up here and look at his piles a little bit. He uses the old straw mow up here for stacking some of his lumber boards and stuff. I have no idea what species most of this stuff is. Clearly he's got a bat problem. That's no good. Does have some of it covered though, but he had some stuff up here he thought would work and he grabbed them. That's what we got. We'll see what's over here. Definitely got a bat problem. Some stuff there. Oh, there's his greenhouse covers for his garden. Some more stuff there. All needs cleaned up and organized is what it needs. So I'm helping Dad get some boards around here. He's cutting stuff to length, getting stuff like this. These are our risers for the stairs. And then I'm taking them over to the joiner, running them through that, getting one good square side, sending them through the table saw, and we're ending up with boards like this that clearly it's cupped and it's not smooth, but at least it's about the right width. We're overcutting them by 1/4 of an inch so we can trim them up again. But the ones on top there are risers, and then we've got the skirt boards here for the different spots that we need them. He's going to take them back and plane them now. This has got to come all the way down to 3/4 of an inch, so we got to take quite a bit of material off. We should get all that wave out of it, the cup out of it and everything, and we'll end up with what we need. All right, we got a few more here, but these ones we got to trim both sides off because there's, that one's not so bad, but there's bark on both sides, so I'm gonna let Dad do that because I don't know exactly how he wants to do that without being able to joint the one side first. These boards are all ready to go be planed. I think he was getting struck so he can take them all back there. That little project he's got going on underneath these boards, he's making himself a door, part of his basement project. So that'll be cool. All right, I am heading home because I have to go change my clothes, and then we have church tonight, Advent, and I have to put up the Christmas decorations before church at 7:30, so I'm going to be there at 6. In other news, it's raining again. Not going to help with the whole mud situation that we're dealing with. So anyway, plan for tomorrow, I'm probably going to work on those boards some more. If it's warm, which it's supposed to be warm, I may get the air seeder out and power wash tomorrow afternoon, try and get that cleaned up a little bit. That is the one thing that we can get cleaned up and put away that we are done with. So that probably should happen tomorrow, and I couldn't convince Brock to come and do it today. Dang. Oh well. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. Questions and comments, leave them down below. We'll get done with harvest eventually. I promise we will get done eventually, but I'm going to try and not tear our fields up. Right or wrong, I don't know. That's the decision that we've made for our farm in our situation. Your mileage may vary. See you tomorrow.